Good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. I am their West African correspondent, Edward Amara, based in Kenema City, Freetown, Sierra Leone. Welcome on this media forum where we educate, entertain, and inform people about the latest development into Africa. Focus on Liberia is an international media where we give careful and quality information about current events on the continent, and we give you updates in the various countries that real news are emanating that are of interest into Africa. Today we are here to discuss maybe something very interesting and important on the continent. We all know Africa, how religiously minded we are, and how we sometimes follow certain issues religiously. And we believe that our lives in Africa are strongly affected by religion. And most Africans today are either Christians or Muslims. Because of our affection for religion, it has even affected the ATR, that is the African traditional religion, where people associate it with negative spirituality and maybe tend to blame Africans for almost everything that happens, especially our traditional religion. They tend to blame it for almost everything that happens wrong on the continent. So today we are definitely going to discuss about the new legislation that is about to be passed into law in Uganda about gays and lesbians. We all know homosexuals, or when people of the same sex come into marriage and one will denounce their own original biological quality or biological makeup. Like I am a male, if I married another male, it become a gay. If a female marry another female, it become a lesbian. That is why maybe marriage is no longer defined today as a legal union between a man and a woman. It could be now a legal union between two persons. And those two persons can either be of the same sex or as the case may be. It can even be a legal union between a man and an animal or a chain. We have seen this thing all over the world. But the issue in Uganda is becoming alarming. Everybody are condemning, or everybody is just condemning what the Uganda government did. When I'm saying everybody is condemning, I mean the Western world. But maybe typical Africans who believed in maybe the continuity of African moral obligation, especially for our younger ones who are yet to interface with the world in terms of practical terms. And they would really want to set a very bad example that may have a negative concomitant effect on what will happen at the end of the day. Some of them are actually applauding what Uganda did, especially the parliament. Then we are seeing a very strong man like Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, who came into power since 1986. He has been into power and he knows almost everything about Uganda. He knows the nook and crannies to Uganda. And because of his strong maybe affiliation with the country, he's been seen as a liberal, or a liberator. Somebody, he could not be liberal, but they feel that he's a liberator. And since he came into power, maybe most of the things that he condemned prior to his coming into power, he has actually been involved in violating those things. But today, let's watch just few things about what is happening on the other side or in the other part of the continent. One, a referee in Egypt has actually been suspended. The referee and his team in Egypt have been suspended because they use a phone, a video footage from a phone to disallow a goal scored by an opponent team. That, I don't know, we are so poor to understand that as a continent. We haven't been able to have a VAR, that is video assistant referee, into our soccer or football game. And now some referees in Egypt, I don't know whether it's a satire, it's a mockery, he deliberately used a phone from a spectator to disallow a goal in a contest. And that aggravated the head or the senior referees of Uganda, and the chairperson ended up suspending him and his team indefinitely. Then the TPL, the Tigray People Liberation Force, have actually been officially removed from the blacklist or the terrorist list by Ethiopian government, and it was part of the peace deal signed 3 months ago. So the TPFL is no longer known as a terrorist group into Ethiopia. Then the US government has actually accused the Ethiopians, especially the Amhara and the federal government forces, of war crimes and other crimes against humanity. And they have called on the Hague, the ICC, the International Criminal Court of Justice, to prosecute all those who are involved into heinous crime against humanity in the conflict. Now, the Ugandan government is describing the particular call made by the United States as appalling, unexpected, and they use a biased lens maybe to judge them. So they are actually condemning the act, and I don't think or believe they want to obey it. Then in that we also see a kind of French journalist in Mali who was apprehended over 2 years ago. He has actually been released. How his release came, nobody knows, but today he has been released. Okay, now let us come back to our topic. Life imprisonment for anybody who identifies himself as a gay in Uganda. Uganda Parliament has passed a bill, and it is only waiting for the assent of Mr. President, that is President Yoweri Museveni. It's only waiting for his signature for that bills to come into law, for the bill to come into law. Then everybody who identifies himself as a gay will be given a life imprisonment. And people who identify as gay in Uganda, life is now at risk, and they face life imprisonment. Of course, it also includes death penalties in certain cases, especially like what they say, rape with aggravation. Let's assume that somebody as an adult who is a gay happens to fall into a relationship with another person who identify himself or agree or consented to becoming a gay, and that person is either a female or a male, as the case may be, but they definitely involved into same-sex relationship. And if that person happens to be another age, the adult will definitely be given a death sentence for having relationship with a person like that. Light just went up. This is what we normally say about Africa. Okay, so we are watching. They say a right. Okay, then that the gays and lesbians found into Uganda think that their lives are being threatened, and at the same time things may not work down well for them, because the states that they rely on for protection in controversy like this, that same state is against their person, and they wouldn't know where to find protection if ever things like that, like people attacking them for. So according to them, today they are facing blackmails, like somebody will call and threaten them for money. I know you are a gay, If you cannot give me so amount of money, I will definitely prosecute you or report you to the police. And family members are even reporting their children who they deem or think that they are gays. They are definitely reporting them to authorities for prompt action. In fact, the bill is one of the toughest in Africa because it includes life imprisonment and also death penalty. Homosexuals or homosexuality actually in Nigeria is an illegal act. So if you are homosexual, it's an illegal act. But this particular bill has criminalized the very act. So it is not just an illegal act now, it has become a criminal offense. And one life is either being risked for life imprisonment or they can even commit you to death penalty depending on the issue that you are facing trial for. So when you even identify yourself merely as a gay person, family members and community members ought to come with you before the law, present you to law enforcement agencies, and they will introduce you as someone who involved in the same-sex marriage. So the bill now has a widespread support into Uganda, and the parliament on Tuesday evening passed it unanimously. Amnesty International has actually condemned the bill, and especially when it criminalizes somebody who has the freedom to choose what becomes of his or her life. What they are saying is demoralizing, it's on an African, and it's not setting any good example for the younger generation. Amnesty International is saying the bill is ambiguous and is appalling, ambiguous and vaguely worded. It is appalling, it's ambiguous and vaguely worded. That is why Amnesty International is saying this bill is ambiguous, it is vaguely worded and absolutely appalling. So the deeply repressive will to institutionalize criminalization, hatred and prejudice against gays and lesbians or the LGBT community include those who perceive to be gay or to be lesbian. And they will also block the legitimate work of the civil society. Anybody who comes in to protest for gays and lesbians or in favor of gays and lesbians, you are risking life imprisonment. Any journalist who discusses about them or in favor of them, you are risking life imprisonment. Any media station who gives them the right to vuvuzela their mentality or discuss their mentality on such platform, maybe you are also given life imprisonment. But I don't know if whether Facebook will also be banned in Uganda. It is like because people known and unknown will definitely be discussing the issue on Facebook, and issues that are sensitive around them will definitely be discussed. So it has also been condemned. This particular bill has been condemned by the U.S. Foreign Affairs or Foreign Minister. So they call him foreign or the U.S. Secretary of State. It's like a foreign minister here. It has been condemned, and they are saying it tramples upon the legal freedom of people. In which before the debate, anti-homosexual sentiment was very prominent in Uganda. Which before the debate, anti-homosexual sentiment was very prominent in Uganda. And the media, we are also under scrutiny not to ever discuss such things. Maybe those who identify themselves as queer community members or the gays, their life is now definitely a threat. According to them, law enforcement agencies are also threatening them. They are extorting money from them, and relatives, close people or external people are definitely threatening to sometimes even prosecute them, to blackmail them, asking them to either give money or they are risk being presented to the police, and the police will send you to court, and the court will sentence you for either life or commit you to death sentence, depending on the crime that you have been accused of doing. The Ugandans, including their parliaments, are saying they did this to protect the children. They did this to continue moralizing their society. They wouldn't want to distort the society in search of such thing. The bill now will now be sent to Yoweri Museveni. It is now up to Yoweri Museveni to either choose to maintain his good relationship with the West by refusing to sign the bill. He can use his veto power, or use his power to commit the bill into law. Then the West maybe will sanction Uganda in one or two things. But except otherwise, Museveni has been somebody who hates gays and lesbians. He said it is on culture, it is on African, it is on religious, and it's a land act. They can also unlearn it. That was why he tried before this time. He has also made several anti-gay comments on state television. So another gay rights activist accused the government of using the bill to distract it, especially the populace, from its failures. Uganda have been used to a dictator who has ruled the country for over the past 31 years. Uganda has been suffering from electricity shortage, blackout, poor road network, poverty, poor infrastructural development, poor health system, illiteracy, ignorance, and corruption are all on their peaks. So they are saying Mr. Government want to use this as a source of distraction from its failure. That is what they are saying. So they are turning the drum against the gay, maybe to deviate the people's attention by criminalizing same-sex marriage. And because of religious mentality of Ugandans, now they are now saying, let us back it. The bill backers, let me read this carefully. The bill backers say they are trying to protect children. But Ms. Bayabora said, whether you are heterosexual or homosexual, the government and parliament should introduce laws, or at least implement existing laws that protect all children, boys, girls, from defilement. So the issue of recruitment has been unproven. It is baseless, it is biased. That is what they are saying. But unfortunately, the Ugandan government sees it otherwise. Let me also read this very carefully. What does the bill say? The final version of the bill has yet to be officially published, but elements discussed in the parliament include, listen to this thing, a person who is convicted of grooming or trafficking children for purposes of engaging them into homosexual activities faces life in prison. 2. Individuals or institutions which support or fund LGBT right activities or organization, or publish, broadcast, and distribute pro-gay media material and literature also face prosecution and imprisonment. 3. Media groups, journalists, and publishers face prosecution and imprisonment for publishing, broadcasting, distribution of any content that advocates for gay rights or promotes homosexuality. 4. Death penalty, what described as aggravated homosexuality, that is sexual abuse of a child, a person with disability, or vulnerable people, or in cases where a victim of homosexual is infected with a lifelong illness. 5. Property owners also face risks of jail if their premises are used as a brothel for homosexual acts or any other sexual minorities right activities. So have you seen? It is now critical, so serious. Maybe somebody can reprimand, lambast Uganda for doing this. But is it not right for Africa or our African brothers to protect themselves against things that will demoralize their society, against things that will turn the cultural aspect of our society into negativity? We all know how bad attitudes are easily learned. This is going to affect our moral composition. This is going to affect our religious composition. Gays and lesbians shouldn't be supported into Africa, popularly advocated by many people. But some government that may think and feel that let's get support from the West may end up to buy their idea. So a group of Uganda MPs are still scrutinizing the bill. Some of them disagree with the premise. They argue for the offenses too. They argue against the offense or offenses being criminalized. But they already know that it is wrong because it is against the code of conduct. Like in Uganda, this said in 2014, Uganda Constitution Court nullified another act which have toughened laws against LGBT. So let's see what the Constitutional Court may do. Let's see what the Supreme Court will do. But for now, anybody who is found in same-sex relationship in Africa, especially in Uganda, they are going to face life imprisonment. Same-sex relationships are banned in 30 African countries, where many people of who conservative, religious, and social value. Thank you for listening. Good night.